Hi students, let's get started with the poem. So we would be reading the poem one time and you can follow me with your test, the poem with your test, and I'll be reading and then we will be analyzing the poem line by line. Here we start reading the poem. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tom Darker, who cried when his head, that curled like a lamb's back, was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was a sleeping head, he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom, if he'd be a good boy, he'd have good for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Okay, let us look at the poem line by line now. So the chimney sweeper title, before starting, to just imagine a picture of a chimney sweeper, a small child at about the chimney sweepers were taken, for the chimney sweeping was taken the boys of ages of about 3, 4 or 5. So you imagine a chimney, a very narrow and long height of it. It is about 30 feet high, and it contains a very narrow canal there. So getting into a chimney for an adult is very difficult. So that is why these small children are used for this chimney sweeping job. So imagine a child of this very small age getting into these chimneys, and just think how dangerous that would be for them to manage that in a chimney, to clean, be in a chimney and to clean the soot. So it's like a very dangerous, very risky job. So having that idea in your mind, we'll come back to the poem. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So when my mother died, so you see a first person narration from at the beginning of the poem. When my mother died, I was very young. So we get the idea that this chimney sweeper, maybe the speaker, this small child has lost her one parent. He has lost his mother. So, and what has the father done? And my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, weep. So you know these small children at the age of 2, 3, 5 and all. So that is the age they're starting to pronounce or the articulate, to talk. So some words you find some words you find very interesting how they uh, articulate. So this boy is also very small, in a very small age, and the writer highlights here that he's so young even to pronounce the word this sweeping. Instead of sweeping, he is using the word, he can't pronounce it, he can't articulate that correctly. So therefore he use he missed this sound, and instead he says weeping. So this weeping here is there are four times it is used here. Weeping is used in a repetitive line. In the line it is used in repetition. So you see in your poem that is with an exclamation mark as well. So weeping indicating what? Yeah, weeping indicates very sorrowful. We are weeping at a very sorrowful, or when we are in a very pathetic situation. So the a line here used by Blake indicate how pathetic his situation is, how sorrowful he is, how helpless he is. While my tongue would scarcely cry. So tongue here means, tongue is used as a metonymy here by the writer to refer to the voice of the boy or the chimney sweeper. So you know what metonymy is. Metonymy means we use something else instead of something else. That is to refer to something else, some another meaning, we use one part of that. So tongue is used as a metonymy to say about the voice of the speaker. Then we would go to the next line. So your chimneys I sweep and soot I sleep. So he addressed the readers to us, and that adds something dramatic to the poem as well. It brings some sort of liveliness to the poem. So your chimneys I sweep. So chimneys is also very symbolic here throughout the poem, because chimneys, as I told you, chimneys is used as a symbolic of the industrialization. So chimneys directly indicate the industrialization here. So your chimneys I sweep and in soot I sleep. So soot is also can be taken as a symbol here to indicate what? Yeah, soot comes in darkness. Soot is related to blackness. So blackness here can indicate one thing, that is death. So Blake uses this first verse to say how pathetic, how tragic, how risky the job is. Okay, having that in your mind, we will go to the second stanza. There's little Tom Darker who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back. So this Tom Darker could be referred to as one of the fellow chimney sweepers of the speaker. So he is one fellow chimney sweeper and one another chimney sweeper of the same category. So there's little Tom Darker who cried when his head curled like a lamb's back. So you in your poem you can highlight lamb's back. It's like a lamb's back. There's a simile there we see. So his hair, or this hair, Tom Darker's hair is compared to a lamb's back. So what is Blake trying to say there? Yeah, Blake is trying to give the idea that it suggests the innocence of this child. Maybe children are very innocent here, so maybe so because of the parents, or because of the parents' faults, and because of his helplessness, he has to engage in this chimney sweeping, which is not totally suitable for a child. So this lamb's back indicate the innocence of the children. Lamb is one innocent animal from the nature. So Blake apply here the innocence of lamb to that of the chimney sweeper, or the small child, or this Tom Darker. So his hair was shaved. So I said, Hush, Tom, hush. He uses one of the interjections here. Uh, Hush, hush, Tom, be silent, don't make any noise. Never mind it, don't care about it, don't think much about it. For when your head's bare, for here, because when your head's bare, when your head is empty, when you have lost your hair, you know that the suit cannot spoil your white hair. When there is no hair on your head, soot will not appear on your hair when you go for chimney sweeping. So they have this whitish or this, not like us, they don't have this black hair. So their hair is fair. So when they get something darker or this blackness or this soot into the hair, it would be spoiled. So here, Tom Darker is consoled by the speaker not to be worried about the losing of the hair, because you will not spoil your hair when you don't have the hair here. So what does this white hair indicate here? Whiteness, we know it indicates the purity of purity. So it may be indicate the child's innocence is also indicated here in one side, and in the other way it indicates the whiteness or the virtue. So this virtuous child or this innocent child is already corrupted by the evilness of this society, evilness of the outer society, outer influences. So he is influenced by the bad parenting, and he is influenced by the helplessness, or he is influenced by the poverty. Therefore, he is very rather helpless. So he has not any. He doesn't have any option. What he has to do is to obey his father and engage in this chimney sweeping. So Blake here indicates, implicitly says us how pathetic the situation of the child or the chimney sweeper is. Even he doesn't have the right to maintain his appearance, born appearance. Even he has to shave off the hair as well. Okay, moving on to the third stanza. And so he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight. So this is related to a dream seen by these chimney sweepers. So when they are in their sleep, they see the dream. So we know dreaming is one very dreaming can be delighted, but the dream here for the child, the chimney sweeper, is not delighted. We will see what is the dream about. Think that thousands of sweepers that he saw in the dream, thousands of sweepers, the same age or the same category of chimney sweepers, same category of the children, Dick, Joe, Ned and Jack, those may be some of the other names of the fellow chimney sweepers, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. So these coffins of black directly indicate the blackness or the death once again. That once again it indicates the risk or the dangerous situations they are facing daily. So overall, this third stanza itself, the dream, Tom's dream, is a reflection of the reality of the chimney sweepers. A reality they are facing daily is reflected by the dream here. So we'll move to the fourth stanza. And by came an angel who had a bright key. So he is referring to an angel. Angel, you know, angel already is suggestive of this fantasy. So especially the small children, love to hear about angels. And once when we referred to this Blake's autobiography, we find that Blake is said to have seen the angels as well. So he had been a very imaginative child at his young age. So maybe that experience is applied here in the poem as well. So, however, this angel can be taken as a suggestive of expectations, new expectations for this young child who had a bright key. So this bright key is also another important term used here. You know that a key is there to open a door. It's a tool that we use to open a door. So it suggests that a bright key is very bright here. We'll see. And he opened the coffins and set them all free. So what did the angel do? He already opened the coffin with this bright key and set them all free. So these children were set all free. So it gives the idea that they would have gained the freedom from their suffered daily routine. Then down a green plain. So after getting free, they moved to a green plain. Green is also very symbolic here once again. Green suggests what? Green suggests the fertility. We love to, rather than seeing these brown color or these barren trees, we love to see these green meadows, green trees. So green is a suggestive of fertility. A green plain, leaping, laughing, they run. So they were not very sorrowful anymore. They were not sad anymore. So they were set free and they went playing, laughing in the meadow and wash in the river and shine in the sun. So this has both literal as well as in-depth meaning here. And washing rivers, so we love to bath in rivers, we love to bath in streams, so especially the children enjoy their playing in the rivers and these water bodies. So here it is suggestive, in one side it is suggestive that they were playing in a river, and once again children, it's very important here. So we can take this as a religious reference to the rebirth. So you in Christianity you may have heard a word called baptism that is related to this rebirth. So the idea here is very ironic in the whole poem, this fourth stanza. Why is that? Because this Blake suggests that it is only the death can make them set free, not the society, not the adults, not the religion as well. Religion has a responsibility towards the society. Not even the religion is taking care of that responsibility. So what happens here is Blake ironically pinpoints that the only method of escape or the only escapism method for them is that death. So it's very highly critical, highly ironical here how Blake pinpoints the injustice or the social injustice, social imbalance. Then we'll move to the fifth stanza. The naked and white, all their bags left behind. So what happens? They became naked and white. So all their bags left behind, the bags that were carrying by these chimney sweepers for their daily routine, that was left behind. So they were already free now without the bags. They rise upon clouds. So rising upon clouds here also suggestive once again. It is also symbolic once again. That can be reference for them to lift him from their lower class to the upper class. That means they are getting away from their poverty stricken or this suffering status or suffering situation to a upper situation, economically thorough situation. But we would see what happens. And sport in the wind, and the angel told Tom, if it be a good boy. So once again Blake is ironic here. And the angel told Tom, what is the angel told? If it be a good boy, you are are not a good boy. If you are a good boy, he would have good for his father and never want joy. So if you were a good boy, you would have every joy. If since you are not good, you have the idea is that since you are not good, you have been blessed with this bad luck. Okay, we'll come to the last stanza. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark. So what happens now? Their dream is over, and they are rising again. They are getting up again. So, and we rose in the dark. So it's in the dark, not in the morning. It's in the early morning, getting up for the job, and got with our bags and our brushes to work. So what happened was ultimately they were not. That was only a dream, and that remained only for the dream, and they had to go back to the work. Though the morning was cold, so the morning, getting early in the morning, especially in a country like this, London, European countries, even during the winter season, it's very difficult. Imagine a small child getting up in the early morning at about 3, 4, 5. So these children had to, though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. But with that dream, he was already okay now. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So if you are doing your duty, you need not to fear harm. So this is the ending of the poem, where Blake is talking about the social imbalance or the social injustice which occurred after the industrialization. So I hope you would have understood the poem by now, and we will be focusing on the themes now. What are the themes that we could come across when reading the poem? Yeah, we can come across many of the themes. Basically, what are the themes? Yeah, basically we can say that this is a radical critique of the contemporary social injustice. So Blake is pinpointing the social injustice that the children, the chimney sweepers had to face, or these poor people had to face, especially the orphan children. So he is implying that he is pinpointing that in a radical critical voice. So that is one theme, and we also can see this is an attack to the callous parents. So the parents, from the very first stanza, you see here, when my mother was died, so the mother was died, and he lost his mother's affection and love. So what the father did was not right here. Father could have supplied the protection and love or the other needs for the child, but he lost the father's love as well, father's protection as well. So he sold that. So Blake pinpoints, or Blake attacks the callousness or the carelessness or the of the parents of their contemporary society. The parents, you see, they were money-minded. So they were highly money-minded, and they were since they were economically down, and they were poverty-stricken, they had even to earn through the children. And also, throughout the poem, you encounter how the childhood innocence is lost here. So the children of this age need a lot of freedom, they have a lot of child rights. The first thing is they have lost the parental love, and they have lost the parental protection, and even they have lost the societal protection. So obviously they have lost the human right or the child right to learn something. So they are occupied now. So we see another theme here is loss of the childhood innocence. So another theme Blake already brings through the poem is the religious hypocrisy. He implicitly brings out how the religion is looking away from this social injustice. Blake pinpoints that this religion has a responsibility towards towards the society. That has to involve in correcting the mistakes of the society, faults of the society. But the religion is also not doing their part in the best way. So they are also, this could be taken as an attack towards the religious hypocrisy that was prevalent in contemporary society. So overall, Blake here condemns the child labor exploitation. You see, this child labor is exploited. What is to exploit here? So the child was sold by the father. So it is the father who is earning through the child, or maybe any other intermediator is there to earn through the child. The child is not the one who is fully benefited out of his occupation or the job he is engaged in. So therefore, Blake is already condemning the child labor exploitation as well. So here are the themes that we encounter when reading the poem, and I hope you will find more and more themes when you read more and more. When you read more and more, you will go in depth into the poem and you will encounter many more points there. Okay, then I will also touch you a bit about this, touch your attention a bit about these techniques. So there also you can go through the poem and find the techniques. So we will just have a look at the techniques. What are the techniques Blake has used here? Yeah, overall the poem consists of 6 stanzas, and you see a rhyming scheme of A, B, B, C, C, D, G, E, E, F, F, and it goes on. So you see young tongue, it is rhymed in the same sound, so we can use A sound there. And we sleep, B sound. Going to the second stanza, head said, C sound. Bare hair, D sound. So it goes in a rhyming pattern of A, B, B, C, C, D, D in that way. And what about the language used here? So the language is like first referring to the tone of the poem. We encounter a tone of frustration from the beginning. Isn't that so? Yeah. Tone of, when my mother died, I was very young, my father sold me. So he is not happy about his situation. So he is like disappointed. He is like frustrated about his own destiny. So we find a tone of frustration. As well as, what about the narrative form here? When my mother died, I was very young. So first of all, from the very beginning, we find a first person narration. And moving on to next third stanza and all, we see another third person narration. So he is referring to this Tom Darker and other fellow chimney sweepers. There we find a third person narration. So we find both first person and third person narration in the poem. And in language, as I told you, we see metonymy used here. In the second line of the first stanza, you see, my father sold me while my tongue. So tongue is referring to the voice of the speaker. So it is metonymy used by the writer. And we also see the similes here. Simile we can find here in the second stanza, second line, that curl like a lamb's back. So innocence of the children is compared to that of the lamb. So it is used as a simile. And we also have the metaphors here. What is the metaphor? One is that we can relate to this coffins of black in the third stanza, last line, where all of them locked up in coffins of black. So coffins of black is a real direct reference to the death or the dangerous situation or the evilness, or directly it is about the death. So it is used as a metaphor. And we also can see throughout the poem we can encounter symbolism. As I told you, chimneys is one of the symbols used by the poet. It is related to the industrialization. and chimney sweepers, that is already a symbolic of the victims of the child exploitation. So they were exploited. Child exploitation is symbolized by the chimney sweepers. And also the white color, we analyze that. White color already indicates the purity or the innocence. And lamb is also another indication or a symbolic for the innocence of the children, or the childhood, or the freshness of the childhood. Black color and suit, it already is an indication for the death, symbolic for the death. Then we see these coffins of black. It is also already a comparison or a metaphor to symbolize the death once again. And green color, we analyze that. Green color is symbolic of the fertility or the freshness or the growth. So angels, as I told you, angels is a suggestive of the good for the young. It is the hope for the young or the expectation for the young or this child. And dream, as I told you, dream is sort of a fantasy. But here they have to come out of the dream and they have to face the reality. So dream is used as a symbolic of the fantasy or the imaginative world. And it can be also discussed as a temporary consolation. For the moment of during the moment of the dream, the child was like consoling. He was very happy to see the dream. Even for the moment of the dream, he was sort of a console. He had sort of a consolement. So the dream also can be taken as like a temporary consolation. It's not the permanent one. They have to get back to the work in the previous, following morning. And the bright key, I discussed about the bright key as well. The key is a tool that is we are using to open a new gate or a new door to a new entrance. So the key here is maybe a reference to the entrance to, or the reference to the heaven. So we discussed that if they were to withdrew from this pathetic lifestyle, the only or the sole method they have to use is, so their sole escapism for them is the death. So this bright key is once again symbolic. And river, we discussed that river is considered to be sort of a place for us to get purified. So this symbolic, the river is symbolic here to be washing away of sins like. So getting into the river and wash their sins and they are born to a new life. So that's why I told you it is related to this reference to the rebirth or this baptism which comes in the Christianity. And rising upon clouds, I discussed that as well in the poem. So rising upon clouds, getting into a cloud and rising upon the cloud, that may be a suggestive of getting away from this poor situation to an upper class, upper economic situation. So these are the symbols that we come across in the poem. So you will find many more symbols when you read more and more, go through the lines more and more. So we also encounter a lot of imagery here. It already consists of visual imagery. So you will also find auditory imagery as well. So these are the techniques that the writer is using here. And talking about the sound effects here, sound devices, what are the sound devices Blake has used here? Yeah, in the first stanza we see weeping, weep, 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 that is used in a repetitive tone, in repetition. Could be taken, we can see internal rhyme in there. And sow your chimneys I sweep, and suit I sleep. You see the s sound is pronounce there repetitively. So we see the alliteration in the line. And once again we can find the alliteration in this line. You know that the suit cannot spoil your white hair. So there also we encounter alliteration. Moving on to the sound, talking about the sound devices used by the writer for his poem. And the angel told Tom if he'd be a good boy. What is this sound effect we find there? Yeah, we can encounter assonance used by Blake there. Once again, assonance can be found in the last stanza, third line. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. Right. So these are some of the techniques, not all. These are some of the techniques that we encounter from the poem, and I discussed some themes with you, and I analyzed the poem with you. So hope you would have gained some understanding about the poem. Hope that would be a helping hand for you. And so this is the ending of the poetry analysis for the day. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching me. And I hope to add more and more videos on your syllabus, as well as I will try to do some of the writing parts with you, which would be beneficial for the language paper. So I invite you to be with me. Keep my channel subscribed, and we will meet with another more and more literary pieces. Okay, right. Thank you for joining, and have a good future, better future. Wish you all a better future.